Hey everybody, welcome back to Shaman Talk with Tegan. Tarot with Tegan is where you will find me on Instagram and Facebook. And I have a guest today, like officially. Yay! So I'm going to let her introduce herself. So take it away.
My name is Dr. Stephanie Zaverdas. I'm a naturopathic physician. I work with everyone. I basically do family practice, but I love working with women and kids. So that's been like more of a specialty lately, I suppose.
That's
But yeah,
awesome.
I'm in the Chicagoland area and I love what I do.
Amazing. Okay, so for those people, I'm sure you get sometimes when you say, "Oh, like what you do and what you're technically called." People are probably like, "You're a what?" Like, what's
Right.
kind of the like condensed answer that you give someone if you're kind of like, the quick answer, I guess?
I usually say that naturopathic physicians are, so we're doctors, we get the same training as allopathic doctors, but we focus a lot more on holistic methods of healing. So we call it like the basics. Like, is your patient drinking enough water, eating clean food, getting clean air? What are stress levels like? So our first patient visits are a lot longer because we're really getting to like hopefully the root cause of what's going on.
Mhm.
But in terms of treatment options, usually we try to do the lower invasive treatment methods like herbs or diet, sometimes homeopathy. It kind of depends on the physician and what they like to prescribe, but we try to focus on low invasive methods of healing before going to like surgery or pharmaceuticals. Yeah, more root cause medicine.
Okay, so I think that is so amazing, which first of all, we met because we both do an adult gymnastics class, which is just kind of crazy. But I remember you talking about it. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is awesome because, from my end of the spectrum, I'm all about like spiritual and energetic healing, which can just filter down into your physical body. So when I heard how you use more natural methods for at least first and try and like get to the root cause of things, I'm like, yes, I feel like this is generally where we need to go in general in society. It's like there are things that can help us before we, pop a pill or do this. There's so much more going on at all levels. And I'm not saying that it's bad or wrong to use medicines and things like that, but like
Yeah.
usually it stems from somewhere, right? Like, and to get to the root cause of that, someone like you can help them. Or if for some reason it's still like, what is still happening? A lot of times I'll have people come to me and then it's like, oh, like literally, I know people have all different types of beliefs and things out there, but like often it's stemming from trauma from this lifetime or even from my side of things, past lifetime traumas that just repeat over time.
I could
So
see
I
that.
just feel like I don't know how you feel, but like I just want to try and bridge this gap if possible between with one person, but like between like the physical medicinal like doctor side of things and the spiritual side of things. What's your kind of take on that?
So even it's part of our we call it our naturopathic model. But I mean, even the research now has shown that those who kind of have a spiritual whatever it is, right, like believing in something bigger than yourself, usually heal a lot faster than people who don't. There's even been like science. I might butcher this study, but there was a study recently about how those who had strangers pray for them actually did better than those who didn't.
Oh,
And
interesting.
it was interesting because they did like close family friends to pray for that
Uh-huh.
person, and then they also did like a stranger group, and the stranger group actually did better than close friends and family, maybe for whatever reason.
Huh.
But it was a pretty big study. I should actually look it up and cite it a bit better. But yeah, we always talk to our patients about praying or spirit, whatever that looks like to them, to God, to the universe. It doesn't necessarily matter, but kind of it increases your chances of having more hope and increases healing, which is cool. So
That is
I'm
like
on the more
it's that's just so
spiritual.
like exciting to hear, like that's just like yay. Like that's so like at some corner of the universe there's this happening and I feel like I mean, it really, unless something extreme happens, I feel like it can only get bigger and more accepted. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? From your
I think
end
people are
and
searching for it now more than ever because it's so funny. Like back in the day, before allopathic medicine, before we moved to this Western model, I mean, people were using traditional methods of healing. And that was bridging, like, the health of the body and the health of the mind and the health of the soul. So it's like we're just veering back to our roots because this is something that's been around in many traditions all across the planet.
Yes, and that's the thing, it's like for thousands of years, some of these methods have been working, and that's even, like I always kinda laugh sometimes because 'cause there'll be, like, studies that come out that's like, "Oh, scientists now think that your consciousness is, like can go into different dimensions," or whatever, where it's like, "You're behind the time, science," like, everyone's known that, like, all these cultures for thousands upon thousands of years, you know what I mean?
I think we've moved into this model now where people, maybe even just Americans, really love the science piece, but there's that inner knowing too of knowing what's right and what's wrong for you that some people, sometimes we all forget to listen to, but we want science, we
Yes,
want a research study to show that this is the way forward. So be what it may, but
exactly.
I'm happy it's all starting to align.
Yes, and I think that's part of, like, what I'm trying to do too. It's like I'm trying to help people heal from this other end of the spectrum, but it's also, like, reintegrating that your own thing, like, what's gonna work for
Mhm.
you? Because like, even the things I do, like, not everyone's gonna connect with that, or at least not right away, and that's okay, but it's like there's still this, like, thing of, like, okay, well then what is gonna work for you? Just being open-minded to different things, I guess. I feel like
Totally.
sometimes people, like you said, whether it's because of science and these studies, they're waiting for that, or, sometimes it is people's religions that tell them, "Hey, that's bad," or "That's not okay," and it's like, we can still be religious or still believe in science, and that's
Mhm.
great, but we gotta tap into our own intuition of, like, "Okay, what's best for
That's
me,
such a
though?
good
I can
point.
still challenge things, I can still do things on my own, in my own way."
Totally. No, I agree with that too. There's so many modalities of healing now, and some things that work for some people don't work for others. Um,
Mhm.
and we, like, as naturopathic providers, we usually see people who have gone to hundreds of doctors and not gotten any answers, and then they come to us. And we see that more prominently than anyone, I think, because, we're like, oh, try acupuncture, try Ayurvedic medicine, try homeopathy. Like, there's so many, I don't want to say like they're lost arts because people are still doing them, but they're just not as mainstream as, the allopathic pharmaceutical model that we've adopted.
Yes, for sure, and I feel like I have also seen some people too where it's like they have, whether it's a minor ache or pain or something, and they'll come to me literally kind of the same thing. We're like, "I'm out of options. I don't know what to do." It's like, "You're my last resort," and it's like, "That's totally fine. Come
Like,
on
I don't even know
over."
what I'm doing here, but I just need help.
Yes, "You're my
Yeah.
last hope. Save me." But there have been times where I've, through doing what I do, and of course the other person is has to be there and willing and helping, but, like, I have seen, like, physical healing happen, where it's like they've had this pain for as long as I can remember, and then I do, usually it's something either called a soul retrieval or a crystal dreaming session. We get to the hardcore, like, spiritual stuff that a lot of people don't wanna acknowledge, but then they do that, and then they're like, "Holy crap." Like, so it's working, or it
I'm
worked, or
happy,
something's
okay.
happening. I had that happen recently, actually. Someone was, like, kind of a little bit of a skeptic, and then they're like, "Oh my god, wait, I think actually something's happening." I'm like, "Well, yeah."
That's why you came.
Exactly. That's why I do it.
I've seen some crazy, like, even Reiki, or we call it
Mhm.
NST. I don't know if you're familiar with that one,
I'm
but
not sure what that
just
one is.
people who've had like massive headaches for like a week and then get one NST session done and then they walk out of their headache free. And you're like barely touching the patient. There's like
Oh,
energy exchange, but it's not, they're not doing anything crazy in
yeah.
there. And then they walk out and they feel better, and it's just wild to see the transformations.
Well, and I just feel like, and this is, I've seen, like, I don't read studies probably like you do, but, like, studies and books where it's like, even just from this lifetime, the stress and trauma that we hold on to it, our body feels it, our energy field hold on to these things unless we purposely let it go and can, let
Mhm.
things flow. So that'll affect everything. So if you go into any kind of energy session, or even if you just go into, like, one of those salt caves that people talk about, and you
Yeah.
actually let your body relax, it's amazing how much better you'll feel.
Yeah, that's so true. It's almost like it doesn't even matter what method it is anymore as long as you can let your body relax and
I
release.
swear, yeah. Or even that's kinda like the first step, I think, for some people. Because in even the work I do, it's like, if you can't relax a little bit, then it's, like, gonna be way harder to do. Like,
Exactly.
sometimes, especially with the more intensive stuff I do, it's like half the session is just getting people to, like, calm
Mhm.
down, relax, like, it'll
You're
it'll be
safe.
okay.
Mhm. No,
Mhm.
I see that too. I know. We're so used to being so fight or flight and stressed out and yeah,
Yes.
can agree
It's
with that totally.
yeah, and it's hard because it's like our society is just built around, like, constantly go, 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 so it's like, how do you it's a constant battle, at least for me, because 'cause I'm trying not to live in that way,
That's
but
hard.
society's not built to support people like me who don't want to do the 9 to 5 because 'cause I'm doing so much other different things, but it's like, how do you support yourself fully? I don't know, I haven't figured it out.
I think you moved to Europe. Have a better quality of life.
Right? I've thought about things like that, but then it's like, I know, like, on some level, I'm meant to be here where I am needed, so it's like, how do I
Totally.
make this fully work? I don't
I
know.
know. You're slowly changing the environment around you.
I mean, that is true, yes. It's just a slow spread, you know?
Mhm. It's like you're what's the saying? It's like you're responsible for your little pocket of the world, your little corner.
Yes, or I saw one too recently, it's something about, like, everything's a tapestry, and if you're even pulling at one little string to, like, get to the truth, then you're helping, and it's like, "Okay, that's true."
Yeah, no, I believe that for sure. So many things can happen with just one little thread.
Yep, exactly, you never know. Domino effect usually at some point,
Mhm.
to some degree.
I agree.
So I remember when we first started talking in class, and you kinda made a joke, you're like, "Yeah, my friends and I, we joke that we went to school for witchcraft."
I
And I'm like,
know.
probably
It's
'cause
yeah.
Probably 'cause it's, like, studying because you mentioned, like, herbs and doing things naturally, so if there was kind of, like I know this is probably difficult, but, like, 1 or 2, like, major, like, things that, like, you could put out there, like, "Oh, this specific vitamin or this specific herb is a catch-all that can help someone."
Yeah, I think it's hard because what I do or naturopathic medicine is so individualized.
Okay.
It's so dependent on the person. But if you start at like fundamental basics. You want to make sure you're getting clean food. So not only fruits and vegetables, but making sure that they're like pesticide free, like physically clean. That you're washing with like a, fragrance free type of wash to get all the sprays that we do on them. Clean water. So if you're not filtering your water, making sure you're getting spring water, just make sure you're having enough water in general, but also making sure that it's clean. Clean air. So are you going outside? Do you have an air purifier? All of those things kind of help your liver to detoxify the body, and we live in a very toxic world right now. So just understanding that those things are important. Like most of my patients aren't getting enough water. I can say that kind of throughout the spectrum.
Okay.
Or they're not getting enough clean food, whether that's like enough vegetables or they're eating a lot of fast food. So there's a lot of basics in what we do that can help people. Just by it's very intuitive medicine in a lot of ways because it's just what were we put on this planet to eat. Um, what's your stress level like? What is like the root cause of your stress? Is it your job? Is it your home? How can you make subtle changes to make things better? Are you sleeping enough? You have high quality sleep, low quality sleep. Like those are big things that can make a huge difference without turning to like a supplement or necessarily like a any type of like you don't need to
Yeah.
do a ton on top of that. It's just we call again the basics of naturopathic medicine.
And it's kind of crazy too because I think for sure I know, like, back when I was, like, teenager, even into, like, my mid-20s probably, like, I definitely did not drink enough water, and I had a very, like, active job. I coached gymnastics, I was a personal trainer, and then I get home and be like, "Why do I have a headache? Why do I feel so, like, sick?" And I'm like, "Whoa, I don't, like, drink any water throughout the day." So that's
Any
definitely, like
Totally, and also you survived that long, which is kind of crazy. Do you know what I mean? Like, even though we abuse our bodies, they can still come back so gracefully.
that is
Like
true.
healing is so possible, which is so funny. Because same way, I definitely did not drink enough water growing up. The
Mhm.
kids now aren't,
Yeah.
but you can find health later on too, as long as it's not,
Yes.
too far gone,
Well, and
which
like
is
you said okay, wait, no, I wanna talk about what you just said now, and we'll go back maybe if I remember, but, I do like, the body can heal itself, like you said, so well that, like, if we can learn to do it on all levels and I know it sounds daunting to some people probably, where it's like, "Well, I'm just trying to fix my physical body. Now I have to also do energy work and all this." But it's like, it's all a journey and it doesn't have to all happen at once. But it's like, if we can consider all these things and do something about it, then yes, the body will literally heal itself. Your chakras are connected from my end of the spectrum, like
Definitely.
to your organs, and they have an effect on you. So if we're fixing our physical body, that's amazing. Then if you're still like there's still something else that needs to be done, look into energy work of any kind. You don't have to come to me. You can just do whatever, but like then you're just all around feeling better. Cuz I know even now sometimes, cuz I used to be a personal trainer, and so I was active all
I
the time.
didn't know
Like
that.
yeah, yeah. I was a personal trainer and Pilates instructor. Um,
Very cool. You've gotten all around the spectrum then.
I
You know, physical
yes,
body. Now I'm
feel like
getting into
I've
soul
yeah, I lived a lot of lives, but I was just used to being so active, just even just coaching and teaching and stuff. So then when I stopped doing that, I now have to actively be like, "Oh, I need to like do something and move my body and exercise because I'm so used to just doing it naturally." And now I'm like, "Oh my god, wait, why do I feel so like ugh?" I'm like, "Oh, I haven't exercised in like a week." I do my adult gymnastics class once a week, and then I'm like, "Well,
That's an
that's good."
exercise. That is an exercise in itself. I hold I can tell you.
That is true, but definitely now that the weather's warmer, I'm like, "Okay, I need to force myself to, like, go jog outside," but I'm such a
I
baby.
know. I've been starting to ride my bike to the library. Highly
Oh,
recommend it. Do you have a library that's close to you?
I
I feel like
do
it's nice to
actually.
ride when you have a destination or like run somewhere with a destination. I can't just like run in circles. I feel like I don't know, like a mouse.
Yeah, I definitely have to, like that's why I have, like, hardcore metal music, like, in my
Oh,
playlist, because 'cause I'm like, if I'm doing this, like, I need someone, like, yelling at me to do it.
it sounds like more abuse than exercise.
Yeah, but, as a gymnast growing up, that's what we're used to, right?
But no, really. People screaming at you to do better. Yeah.
That's a whole 'nother podcast episode, right?
Yeah, we could do that
The
later.
mental thing of being a competitive gymnast, yikes.
Oh,
Especially
it's tough.
back when we were young. Like, I feel like maybe it's changed a little bit now, but oof.
It has to have changed. There's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way they're still doing what they did back then. And I mean, I'm grateful for it. I think we learned a lot more,
Mhm.
maybe, maybe
Yeah,
not.
maybe. Something good came out of it. And not all my coaches were, like, insane, but, like, definitely some of them where it was like, "How did you continue coaching? I don't understand."
You could have went into law enforcement or I
Right.
don't know, like
Oh my
went to the
gosh.
army or something. I don't know. But
So there was another thing I know we've touched base on a while ago, but, both of us were saying something along the lines of, like, balance of what we do, of, like we're both, like, doing what we do, we're just genuinely trying to help people. But then there's also this aspect of, like, because of the society we live in, we have to, like, charge for our services, and we have to do it in a way that,
Mhm.
like, we can still help as many people as possible, but also I can afford to put groceries on the table. So do you feel like you're still kind of, go back and forth with that, or do you feel you found kind of a balance with that?
I decided, yeah, because I agree with that. I think you don't want to undervalue your worth and you want to make sure that you're able to put food on the table, but you also want to try to help as many people as possible, especially because you have this knowledge and you have this thing that you worked for, right?
Mhm.
Um, Someone put it into perspective for me, one of my professors. She was like, "You have so many student loans." She was like, "Are you not going to be able to pay your student loans if you're not setting your prices competitively?" So I found a balance, and it's very new because I recently started my own uh, virtual practice. But I'm charging competitive prices for like whatever NDs around here are doing. So I kind of just did the average of whatever they're doing. And then I also have um, it's not a sliding scale, but if people in need, need services and they're not able to, then I have like a whole contact list they could fill out and get put on a wait list. So I
Okay.
think eventually that'll kind of take off to my goal is to have more like nonprofit or pro bono work like 1 day a week
Okay.
at least. And yeah, but I have to kind of see how that balances out just financially because yeah, we do live in a world and we have to put food on the table, and lately we have to put organic food on the table. So it's like
Right.
it's a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, that's amazing though. Like, I really applaud you because even just putting in that effort, I feel like sometimes that gets lost in the shuffle with other people. Either it's not on their mind or it is, but it's just something they cannot do at this point.
Well,
Um,
thank you. I'm trying to be more intentional about my service as I get out and stick to something, but I haven't found what exactly works yet. But yeah, I'm open to working with people if whatever background they have, especially kids. I feel like kids always get to the top of my list
okay.
because yeah, you can make such a big difference in someone's life at a young age. It's
Yeah.
wild, and they heal so fast, so they're fun to work with.
Well, that's like makes me so happy to hear. Like, just like, because I think sometimes, like, when I don't really watch the news very much, but when we do, it's just constant negativity and intensity. So, like, even on an individual level, when you hear people like such as yourself, who's just being genuine and being like heart centered and doing what they like to do and what they're good at doing, it's just inspiring. So, you're an inspirational person.
I'm sure you're doing just the same. What's your model?
Well, so at this point, like with tarot card readings, I want to keep those because I only charge $20 for those. And I want to keep that because anytime someone gets a reading and they're like, oh, what? How much was this? I'm like, $20. And every time they're like, what? They're like, you should be charging more. I'm like, but like, I feel like that's just minimum. So, like, I know for some people, $20 is still $20, but I want to have at least that little foot in the door of guidance, of some kind of hope or clarity for someone and be able to afford it. So I just feel like no matter what, I want to try and keep that price where it is. And
Yeah.
eventually, if I can find my way more financially abundant, I would offer that service for free, quite frankly, at this point. Because I feel like there are other things that I do that make even bigger difference in people's lives. So it's like, to me, the tarot card reading is kind of just like the foot in the door if you're new to like the spiritual side of things. um but yeah, and then I offer like dowsing rods where the things like cross and uncross.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
love
and
doing
then
that. Anytime I'm trying to make a big decision, I'm like, "Hey, can you use the rods and tell me what I should be doing with this?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, perfect, no problem."
oh
Like,
wait, who is this we're talking about?
this is a friend of mine who went
Oh,
to
okay.
natural with me, so she uses them a lot to make big decisions. So I
That's
get it. It's
amazing.
fun. Yeah,
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, maybe I'll have her on next.
totally. That could be her intro. She's awesome. You like her a lot.
Okay. Well, we'll connect after then. But yeah, so then from there I have like the illuminations and then the crystal dreaming. It's kind of like almost like boom, boom, boom. The more intense, the more I do charge. But I don't know. I feel like they're fair prices for what I do, especially the crystal dreaming is just from my end, the things I have to do to prepare like beforehand and after and while we're doing it, those
Totally.
sessions can take like over an hour sometimes, like an hour and a half, pushing 2 hours. It's rare it pushes 2 hours, but it can be that long. So it's like I just have to be aware of my own energy. And because outside of what I physically actually do, I have to do a lot of work, like on the
Mm,
side of
yeah.
clearing my energy, making sure I'm centered. Because if I'm not, then these sessions won't be as like, they'll still be work and still be fine. But from my own perspective, I'll be like drained afterwards.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
yeah, if I'm trying to go down this path of making this what I do, but it's also like kind of with when I did personal training, there's almost only so much of me. There's only so many hours in a day. So it's
Mhm.
like I'm still trying to find that balance.
No, I feel that. I know. I get that. We want to do it all.
Yes.
There's not
Um,
time for it all.
well, exactly. And then, on top of that, not to be woe is me here, but just I have a young child. I'm a single mom, so it's like it's
You're
just
bouncing a
added
lot.
layers.
You're teaching gymnastics.
Yes, that too. I have a side job teaching gymnastics, kids and adults. Uh, so yeah, there's definitely times like the other day, I just felt my body like shutting down, and I went to bed at 7:30 p.m. and got up the next day at like 8 a.m.
Oh, you needed it.
Yeah, so I woke up feeling much better. I was like, oh my God, like I really have to like be more aware. Or sometimes I am aware, and it's still like I
Just
have to go
body
pick my
clock.
daughter from school. I have to. So that actually goes back into what I was gonna say before that you were talking about was sleep. So drinking water and sleep, and people do not get enough just rest in general. Do you agree?
No, I agree completely. And a lot of times it's not like fruitful rest, right? Like they're getting up throughout the middle of the night, or they've got like kids or dogs in the bed, or they have like the blue light next to them, or the TV's on.
Mhm.
Everyone has sleep apnea these days. Partner might have sleep apnea. Like it's just nobody's getting enough restful sleep, in my opinion. And when they
And
are, I'm just really proud of them. I'm like,
yeah.
awesome. The phone is in the bathroom, it's not next to your bed, like the TV isn't on all night. Yeah, it's hard to do. We're wired to keep going, especially when we get closer to bedtime, but it's so important to shut those devices down and become intentional with your sleep cycle, because some people have trouble falling asleep because their mind is racing or anxiety or whatever it is. And a lot of time you can link that back to like too much coffee intake throughout the day. And they're like, but I didn't have coffee like 3 hours before bed. And I'm like, well, it
Ooh.
doesn't necessarily matter. It can still be, debilitating to your sleep. Caffeine's
Mhm.
a drug, and one that we often abuse. So yeah, it's kind of looking at every little piece of what people are doing and trying to understand, how it's affecting them. And but sleep, oh, it's so hard to heal without sleep. That's like no matter what you're
Mhm.
going through, it's difficult to for it to be restorative and for healing to completely take off unless you're getting enough sleep.
Oh, yeah, on all levels, like, it's I did a reading for someone recently, and the first card that came up was literally "sleep," and I'm like, "Well, that's exactly what it sounds like." And the person was just like, "Yeah, that makes sense." I'm like, "Yeah, like, I don't know, we're all just a nation of people who just don't get enough," and not just sleep, but, like, resting your mind and resting your you don't have to it doesn't have to be a nap, you can just go, like, relax, but that's the thing is, like, I always try and say in some of my videos, like, go get some rest or go connect with nature. Do not bring your phone, or you can have it for safety or whatever, but turn it off. Like, try and just connect get into your body, get
We're so
into
disconnected. I feel that so much. Like, I don't know. I'll like even with my own healing journey, if I'm getting bad sleep a few nights in a row, I'm like, what's going on? Like let's dig a little deep. What's happening? What have I done differently? Like what is the root cause? Can I change it? Can I alleviate it? Can I nap throughout the day? Like we're so distracted by our phones, by work, by television, by the busyness of the chaotic day that people aren't like tuning into what their bodies need. Like I have patients that come in who've been sleeping for like 4 hours for 3 years. I'm like, how
oh my
are you even like surviving? And how is this the first time I've seen you in this office? Because we're just neglecting and we're not paying attention to those little subtle signs that our body gives us when it's upset or angry or needs attention. It's perfect way to.
exactly, and that's tapping back into that intuition, but also, like, knowing your physical body and knowing, like, what it's trying to tell you because it's trying to tell you something when you any little thing, right? When you get a headache, when you just feel just off, it's like, okay, if it's not something that you can understand, like, you gotta try and, like, tune in a little bit here, like you
I
said,
wake up
we're all
tired, but then I drink coffee all day and then the tiredness goes away and I'm like, okay, that's a band-aid. That's one
right,
way to do it, but it's
yes,
not gonna last forever. Your little
mhm,
adrenals are gonna be upset and then you're gonna get headaches and all the things.
yes.
Um, yeah. Anyway,
I
tangent
I
about
see
coffee.
the, like, Band-Aid approach,
Mhm.
physically, but also from my end of the spectrum too, because sometimes people will be like, "Oh, whatever," whether it's sleep or weird nightmares or whatever, people are like, "Oh, what's a crystal I can buy to fix that?" It's like, no, crystals aren't gonna fix the root problem of what's going on. Like, I recently
Mhm.
had someone talk to me about, like, some kind of energy bracelet or something, which I'm a firm believer in, like, crystals can help, they all have their own frequency and energies, yes, but, like, they were telling me why they bought it, and it was kinda just like, "Okay, that's not gonna like, fix what's going on. You have to, like, address things first, and the
Mhm.
crystals just help boost, like, your energy or boost whatever you need, but, like, you have to do the work." People are kind of afraid, I think, to do the work, to face what's going on, especially on, like, a mental level, and I'm not obviously a psychologist or anything, but, like, sometimes when we do these sessions, like, traumas come up, and it's like, to some extent, you gotta be able to, like people don't want to be in here, like, ever, it seems like. Like,
I know.
even jokingly, people will be like so I'll say, like, "Oh, try meditating or try just sitting and no phones, whatever," and like, "Oh, but then I'll be in my own mind, I don't wanna be there," and, like, sometimes they're joking, but you can tell that they're also not joking fully. And it's like, no, but that's how you help yourself. That's part of how you help yourself. You have to allow your thoughts to come through and figure out what's going on.
Hmm. I know you can't be distracted forever. I totally agree with that. Even in my own world, like turning off my phone for a weekend is like one of the nicest things I can do for myself. And I see that every time. By the end of the weekend, I'm like feeling more creative, more imaginary. Everything gets better in my life when I'm on devices or phones less. And yeah, I wish people got to experience that more because we're so dialed in,
Yes.
dialed in.
And I agree with you with the creativity. Like, in order to heal, in order to be more creative, to connect more, it is like disconnecting a little bit. And I definitely have been watching myself because of what I do. Like, I promote myself mostly on social media. That's just what it is right now. And so it's like I do have my phone on me a lot. And, when my daughter's not with me, I'd prefer to have my
Oh,
phone on and
totally. With
close.
moms, with running your own business, like, oh, totally. Yeah.
But
Moms
I
can't
will,
be on their phone when you're not with their dog. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
yeah, but like I also am like, okay, I'm trying to be more aware because I think it was just a couple days ago, I just felt, like, down and just kinda, like, just, ugh. I'm like, "Why am I feeling this way?" And I had realized I just had to be on social media well, had to be on social media a lot that day because I was posting and people often, message me on there to set up times and days for sessions, and you it's almost subconscious that you sometimes start to just, like, see others' success, and on one hand, you're happy for them, but then you're also like, "Okay, wait, why am I still not over here?" You just compare or you just, like I don't know what it is, it's just a void almost, like, it sucks your energy, and I'm like, "I really need to watch how often I'm on here and what I'm doing on here," because it really does relate back to that when I'm just randomly feeling, like, kind of, ugh.
I've been really intentional lately with like I didn't for a long time I didn't realize you could mute people. Like you could mute and no disrespect to anyone I have muted, but like just there's some things I don't have to see. I've made my Instagram more like I follow a bunch of doctors and it's more educational now. And so when I'm on it, I feel like I'm learning a bit more and it's less
Mm.
like just following up with people that I haven't seen since elementary school or something that I don't
Yeah,
even talk to.
yeah.
So most people that I follow are actually muted and it's been better because it's not that I'm less addicted to it. I could definitely get lost in it, but I'm
Mhm.
less like it almost feels more productive in a
Okay.
way because I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, this is a new study that this doctor published, and now I'm looking at studies or versus I'm on rabbit holes looking at everybody's weddings twice. I don't know, you know what I mean? Like you can get lost in the sauce for sure.
Yes. Like, I actually started following more things like I always say if I was a little bit smarter, I would have studied, like, quantum physics. I just don't quite have the, like, IQ for that. But I started following more pages or, like, cosmology or things like that, and so it is same thing where it's like, I'll just see these beautiful pictures of space or stars, and I'm like galaxies. I'm like, "Oh, this is amazing."
I'm
Um,
inspired. Mhm.
yes, that exactly. So I think that that is true too. Like it depends on what you're following and what you're doing, but then on my like for you page is always now like conspiracy things that pop up, which some of them I'm like, "Oh yeah, this is like legit." But then you go through the rabbit hole, right? And then they just get darker and darker, and then I'm like, "Oh my god, I need to stop because this is just
Aw,
too much."
I agree with that. I think you can get lost in them, but also they can be really fun too.
Yeah, it's interesting, and some people, like I said, from what I've seen and heard, some people are very much onto something, and, and I want to, like, share it and be like, "Guys, everybody watch this," but I'm like, "Okay, need to take a step back here and calm down a little bit."
Totally. I mean, like aliens were a conspiracy theory, and then the White House came out like a few years ago and said that they were real. I mean, I know you've done stuff on them, but it's just funny.
Uh-huh,
Like, COVID was a conspiracy theory, and then you know what I mean. So some things you never know. It could be a hidden gem of truth.
exactly. And
Hmm.
for me, like, especially with aliens, I feel like I'm becoming this weird alien person probably to some people, but, like, that's part of the sessions I do. They're very real and, yeah, that's just
Wild.
the whole thing. And I actually can't really watch that much stuff about aliens right now because and I obviously do not know everything, at all, but just based on my experience that I've had, like, directly with myself in sessions, with people in sessions, there's so many people who are spreading information that's like, "No, that's not right." And in the end, whatever, it doesn't really matter because most people probably still think that that's, like, crazy to think there's legitimate aliens, like, intelligent life out there, but it's just like, "Oh, I can't even watch this, it's making me so mad, they're wrong about this." And then when I try and tell someone about it, they're like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Aliens!" And they're like, "Ugh."
Just another episode of us getting triggered on social media.
Exactly. Yes, that's exactly it.
Happens to me too. I get it.
Okay, so if we bring it back around here, if there was kind of one, and again, I'm trying to make you narrow things down, which is hard, but kind of just a general statement that you kind of want to put out there for people, kind of just to tie things up, what would you say to people?
Listen to your bodies. Really, I think that's what it comes down to. And recognize when you're numbing out, when you're using like something to numb out. I think we start like even drinking coffee when we're really young, and coffee is a drug, so it will change, your free will. It'll change the decisions that you make throughout the day because it's meant to do that. It changes. Or like when you're coming home from work and you had a tough day and you're just like plopping down next to the television. It's like, yeah, sometimes we need to be distracted, but maybe intentionally recognize when you're doing it. I think that can be huge for people. Like, oh, I'm on my phone. And then you look up and you've been on your phone for 3 hours and you're like, okay, that's a choice that I made. Why did I make that choice? What am I, what was the solution here? What was I trying to, distract myself from? What am I avoiding? I think
Hmm.
that could be helpful for some. I feel like we've gotten all into the devices, so I like
Yeah.
it. I feel like we're sticking with that.
I love that, and I think that's very true, and I think for me, it would just be that to remember that on top of everything, are consistent. We are made up of energy.
Mhm.
Like everything has energy, right? That's a scientific fact now. So it's like we have to acknowledge that we ourselves are energy. So it's like we have these all different modalities of healing, and we should try and incorporate all of them to some degree at some point. And I think the world would just be a happier place if we did
Totally. I
that.
know. I agree with that completely.
Okay, so where can people get a hold of you if they see this and they're like, "Oh, well, what she does is interesting. I want to chat more, or want to do a session with you, or anything."
Totally. My Instagram is semi-new, but you can find me at Dr. Steph Zaverdas. That's my handle, and then my website is www.drstephaniezaverdis.com.
Perfect. Well, thank you for being here.
Thanks for
I feel
having
like
me.
we have to do this again.
I know this was so fun. I'm so happy we did this. I've missed you at gymnastics, by the way.
Yes. Are you coming back?
I have to. My ankle is still not 100%, but we're working through it.
We'll change the world one session at a time and one handstand at a time.
One one back at a time.
Yes, exactly.
Raise it up.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank
Yeah.
you so much, and I will talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Thanks, Tegan.